Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to Monster Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel. And very exciting, ladies and gents, as you can see on the screen right now, today's installment's taking a closer look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series New York Comic Con exclusive Pythona figure. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about this figure. So if you've been thinking about picking up a Pythona of your own, you'll know whether she's worth your hard-earned cash or not. I'm going to start by jumping back to yesterday when the box arrived on my doorstep and give you a quick rundown of my initial thoughts on the packaging, then move into the figure herself, talk about the aesthetic and the visual experience, then move into the articulation and posability, then give you a good rundown of the accessories and added value, and finish up by popping her next to a couple of other G.I. Joe classified figures for a bit of a comparison and see how she fits with the rest of the crowd. And with all that said and done, you'd have good, thorough information to know whether this is the figure for you to help you make a purchase decision. So let's get into it, and let's go back in time and visit past Chris, yesterday Chris, as he takes a look at the packaging on the day this arrived on my doorstep. Here we go. And here we go then, folks. Here is the autumn season convention exclusive Pythona in packaging. So convention exclusive, in fact, that UK independent retailers had them sold and shipped in my hand before New York Comic Con even started. The distribution on this line is so janky, man. But I'm not going to complain because I'm super excited to have her in hand. I thought I was going to have to wait until I went down to London Comic Con for this. But here she is. And the main thing, really, obviously, it's the core standard G.I. Joe Classified Series packaging that we know and love. You've got the name of the figure in the corner there, Cobra-La Pythona. Got a big window here showing off the figure and all the goodies, G.I. Joe Classified Series, Cobra symbol to indicate she's a Cobra member. The main difference really is that the motif, the artistic motif behind all this is more kind of Cobra-La, kind of planty stuff going on. And to give it a little exclusive distinction, you can see that it's like in a shiny foil. So while she's not quite as big and ostentatious and quite as luxury, I suppose, as you might argue Cold Slither was at San Diego Comic-Con, or previous exclusives like, Nemesis Immortal, for example, Dr. Mindbender, and so on and so forth. Still got a little bit of fancy convention exclusive flair in there. Then here on the back, you can see we've got the digital render of Pythona in action. That's clearly at Cobra-La there. There's the big kind of Venus flytrappy thing the Globulus put Cobra Commander in. Although we have got I think that's a Techno Viper here having a bit of trouble. But there's certainly lots of little movie references. There are a couple of breakout windows here showing off a few of the key features like the head sculpt, the monstrous accessories, and the soft goods cape. Legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. This is the import sticker because the independent retailer over here that I bought it from, which was Kapow Choice, import their figures. And then, of course, the file card. First things first on the list here, we've got this skull there because ultimately nothing's as badass villain energy quite like a skull. And I believe that's in fact the ashtray that Pythona uses because she likes to have a cigar and rest it in her skull head ashtray. This fist here is actually nothing to do with Pythona. This fist here represents the size of the hole Hasbro have just punched right through my fucking wallet this last month with pre-orders. This little eye here with a line through it is, it's because Pythona's got a cloak, and when she's got a cloak, you can't see her. It's like the obvious rules when someone wears a cape with a hooded cloak on it. You can't see them. And then finally this here, this is a pair of torn fishnets. Pythona sometimes likes to get dressed up at the weekend, go out for drinks. She likes to give off a bit of a trampy energy, but it's okay. It's tasteful as well. She doesn't cross the border quite into, prostitute territory. But she's ripped them. They're all ripped. She's got no fishnets at the minute, and it's an absolute nightmare getting FedEx deliveries from clothing companies out to Cobra-La. So she's not too happy about that at the minute. Then on the side here, we've got this lovely bit of menacing artwork. Again, I don't know. The proportions look a bit funny and weird, which is once again indicating to me that's possibly AI generated, but it's one of the better ones we've seen lately for sure. And I think I forgot to mention before, she's number 172 in the line. Then on this side, repeat the file card, repeat the artwork, the QR code to nowhere, the usual MacGuffins. So there we are then, folks. There is the Pythona in packaging. So if you're minting box or you're just interested to know the peg presents, you've had your little run down there. But I'm not minting box. I'm going to get Pythona open now, get good and hands-on with some man-child playtime, jot down some review thoughts, pose her up next to a couple of other figures and whatnot. And I'll be back to share those review thoughts in 3, 2, 1. All right then, folks. Well, here is Pythona, and she came out the packaging without any, hand swaps, head swaps, whatever going on. The only thing I have done is I've added one of the two ponytails on her here. And this section of the review is about the aesthetic, about the visual experience. Yeah, she's got some shelf presence, this one. She's a very eye-catching piece of work. Just like they've done with some other of the animated characters in the past, they've kind of taken what's a very sort of 80s animated style with that sort of two-dimensional vibe to it and just given it lots of three-dimensional texture. And you can see loads of that going on here with the figure for sure, which really gives it some depth and some life. And she looks really fantastic. Getting in a bit closer to do a finer inspection of the details, you can see the head sculpt's really, really awesome there. I love the paint applications on the eyes, that kind of serpentine sort of eyeball thing going on there. It's got lovely paint applications on the lips, great facial features, the big bold head with the ponytail pulled tight across the top. I don't know practically how that happens in real life, but that's what we've got. And then these nice paint applications around the eyes, which are, I don't know, like tattoo pieces, or was she born like that? Who knows? It's never explained, is it, in the lore, but we'll go with it. It looks fantastic. Lovely little striking purple, and then the red eyeshadow across the top of the eyes there gives it a lot of character. This is one of two head sculpts. This is the more vanilla of the two, but yeah, really, really lovely. And then some other lovely little details like the fangs here. They look kind of earringy, but they're not. They're sort of growing out of her ear, part of her Cobra-La genetics, and then the nice sculpt on the top knot and the hair sculpting design coming down the back here. Pythona's got the hooded cape, big part of her kind of visual identity from the movie there, so great to see that this has been included. You can see it's got this great texture in it to bring it to life and give it some depth, and it means the colour's not sort of sheer and shiny. It's got a nice textual feel to it, as well as these kind of rips and tears at the bottom, from that moment where those big giant scissors on the walkway come up when she's running towards Serpentor, which is really nice to see. It's got a good shape, good vibe to it, joined up at the front here with a nice split, and then you can see it's got this lovely kind of pinky or lighter purple on the inside that matches well with the core purple of the body. The hood does come up over the head, and it's got that kind of pointy bit like she had in the movie, and that little cutaway piece over her eyes. And I'm not a fan, actually, to be honest, of this bit. It just seems a bit big, sort of sits a bit kind of heavy over the top of the head. It's difficult to sort of line up over her eyes to make her quite look how she did in the movie. I mean, how they would have made her look like she did in the movie, I don't know, but, that's... I just want to be able to recreate those scenes. That early scene where she's invading the Cobra base is like just one of my faves of all time. I love it to bits, especially when a lot of the accessories are focused on that section of the movie as well. But I mean, it's all right. I'm just being overcritical, I suppose, because of what my hopes, dreams, and desires were for this figure. But it's possible to do. But you have to take I've been taking the ponytail off in order to do that over the top of her head there. Then moving down into the body, obviously the colour scheme is the purple colour scheme, from the classic design of the character there. 2 tones of purple just to give it some depth and some character, so you can see this kind of lighter, more pinkier kind of purples in there. I don't know my colour schemes very well. If you're a painter decorator, you might be able to correct me on that. But then you've also got these lovely kind of organic looking armour pieces just to really bring that sort of pattern in the uniform as it was animated to life, and it's all sculpted as well. Run your finger over it. It's all sculpted in all these pieces, all the way down to the legs, and it's there all up the back as well. The same kind of sculpted detail, and you can definitely see the sort of wash that's gone over the top of it as well to darken some of these pieces up. But it also means if you want to pose her without the cape, you've got a full sculpt all the way around. Pythona obviously uses her nails as a weapon. She's got this like acid nail thing going on. There's a hand swap to take that even further, but you can see she's got the long nails on the end of her fingers, although the paint application of a nail on this forefinger here is a bit shaky on mine. And then you can see a kind of sculpted feet shape down here with her toes, which is really interesting. Obviously a great sculpt. I'm less keen on that, actually. I think it makes her look a little bit funny, but it's probably accurate to the cartoon. I've not gone back and done a quick research check before recording today, but it's probably accurate to the way the character looked in the movie. Just makes her feet look kind of a little bit... I don't know what the word is, just a bit janky, but you know what? It's a minor complaint because the overall visual aesthetic of that is really lovely. So it's a firm thumbs up for me on the visual experience. The aesthetic qualities of this figure are great. They've brought her to life in the 6-inch plastic form just how I imagine they would, really. It's up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified Series standard, and the G.I. Joe, the movie fans like me, who've got a soft spot for this character, would be hard-pressed not to like it. She's got great shelf presence. They've really leaned into the balmy, wacky shit, which regulars around these parts know that I'm a big fan of. So, yeah, just looking good, man. Just really eye-catching piece of kit there. So, very pleased with the visual experience, but that's just one of 3 review areas that I do. Let's now take a look at her in terms of articulation and posability, shall we? And as usual, folks, because it's fairly standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation, and some folks aren't as interested in seeing that part of the review, I put chapters in. There's timestamps down below, so if you want to jump ahead to take a look at the accessories and added value, you can do. However, if this is the first G.I. Joe Classified Series review you've ever seen, certainly of a female book, or you're just interested to know if there's any particular quirks with this figure, then stick around and I'll run you through it, and I'm going to get started with the head articulation. So we've got the ball at the base of the neck and the ball inside the skull. So your down will get you down to there. Your up will get you up to there. You can swivel, like if I just put the ponytail up like that, you can swivel all the way around 360 and swivel and tilt and move it around on the ball at the top there. And then as you can see, the ponytail pegs in to a little hole at the back there. So you can spin your ponytail around, you know, move it about. Got a little bit of motion there so that you can add a more kind of dynamic pose with the ponytail. Then moving down into the shoulders, you can see we've got a butterfly joint here, giving her a nice shuffle forward and back. And then it's pegged in at the shoulder stroke armpit with the hinge on the underside, so you can go full 360 like so. And you can T-shape her out like that. Swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep there. Pinless double elbows, that'll get you up to there. Pegged in hands that can swivel all the way around at the wrist. And then both the trigger finger ones that come out the box have got up and down hinges on them. Moving down into the torso, you can see it's the barbell joint that sits there under her boobs, and then you've got the ball joint here in the waist. So she's got a bit of crunch forward, bit of crunch back, and a lot of swivel and twist at both those points there. Then coming down into the hips and the groin, it's the G.I. Joe Classified Series drop-down joints in the legs, so you can get a good forward like that. And Russian ballet her out like that. She's got a swivel at the top of the thigh. Pinless double knees that'll get you up to there. No boot cut in here at all. Not even one sort of hidden away down the bottom here, which is a little bit of a shame. And then a hinge and rocker on the ankle stroke feet. So the articulation's a thumbs up as well, folks. Solid articulation. We know they do a female book pretty well on the G.I. Joe Classified, but if you want to recreate scenes of her getting into it hand-to-hand with Jinx, or, beating up a couple of Vipers or Crimson Guards or whatever, I've been able to do everything that I wanted to try out and play around with over the last couple of days. No issue at all. Nothing getting in the way. I suppose the only thing I will mention is that the cloak is just a straight-up soft goods. There's no wired element in there to help you out with it. So there's no kind of cloak articulation. So, yeah, you're not able to sort of get it swooping up and stuff, which is a little bit of a shame. I would have perhaps preferred a little bit of wiring in there just to add an extra element of articulation to that piece there. But overall, very, very good. Highly recommend. Okay, so that's the articulation and posability. Let's now have a look at the massive list of accessories and added value, shall we? And the first item in the accessory selection I'm going to show you, well, actually first two. There's two here because there's a head swap and a ponytail swap. So you've got the peg hole in both heads, so you can swap these ponytail pieces around as you see fit, really. So the head sculpt here is obviously an angry, screaming kind of combat face there. The sculpt of it's really nice. They've obviously maintained some of the core features from the other head sculpt, like the paint applications around the eyeshadow, the eye tattoos, the weird earringy bang things growing out of her lobes. That's all there, but you can obviously see the shape in the cheeks, around the chin and stuff. Really bringing that scream to life, and then the sculpt of the teeth and the paint applications of the lips and the tongue on the inside and the teeth themselves is really awesome, and her little fangs there look great. Obviously opens up a wider world of possibility when it comes to the type of posing that you want to do. If she's standing there with Nemesis Immortal having a chat with the Dreadnoks about some stolen information, or if you want to get a hand-to-hand fist fight with Jinx, then you can do, Then the second ponytail is basically just a shorter cut. Just a shorter cut there that sits a bit higher up. But the quality of the sculpt is the same. It's got the same little kind of top knot piece there in the purple. Looks really, really nice. And then we've got this wide selection of kind of Cobra-La, organic-y creature weaponry things and a massive gem, all of which speak to scenes and actions that she takes during G.I. Joe the movie. So we've got this creepy squid face huggery thing here. with a big old teeth and an open mouth, like with 2 articulated arms on it, with sort of octopus style suckers on the inside, and then a big tail with the pink section underneath here. That looks like really meaty. It kind of reminds me of the Tremors worm. But in any case, we see that in the scene where she is assaulting the Cobra base and she throws it and it sticks to the mask of some Crimson Guards. Then we've got this kind of clammy thing here with gross, sort of fleshy, gummy things going on in the inside. I'm sorry, I'm going to struggle to talk through this section without getting into ridiculous innuendo land. I don't particularly remember when she used this in the movie, but it's reminiscent of the big prison version of this that Globulus used to imprison Cobra Commander. But yeah, you got all that gross fleshy pink stuff on the inside, and then this nice kind of clamshell shape with the green painting on the outside. A little tongue licky whippy thing here, with you can see the 2 different shades of paint on the, as it goes to a lighter white on the end, and then the sort of pinkiness as you get towards the mouth of the weird thing, with the mouth there, and then the kind of clamshell shape there with the kind of spines, spiky bits on the back. We got the stinky bug thing, where she squirts a load of gas into some troopers' faces with the kind of beak on the front. Then you got the darker armor, carapace kind of armor on the top there, the lighter kind of belly piece on the bottom, and then these rubbery legs around the outside. Got the electric eels, the 4-headed electric eel here, that she used to break through the electric fence. Nice little paint applications, little black dots on the eyes, got little pink bits on the mouths, and a lovely sculpt on that with a bit of a wash over it as well to darken it up in places. And then the massive gem that she used to bribe, stroke influence the Dreadnoks. So these are fun, okay? They're nice, and I like them. You know, I'm a self-confessed Cobra-La weirdo, G.I. Joe the movie fan. I like that they've leaned really heavily into those scenes that I love so much in the movies. I really love that scene where she raids the Cobra base. The problem is that integrating them with the figure is a little bit difficult. This one's not too bad. You can fit it on the face of a Cobra Trooper or whatever. You can sort of use the articulated arms to sort of get it into place to stick it on the front. This one's not too bad because it's got the long tail on it there. But getting it to hold this gem, or to get any of them in her little dainty hands in a grip so that they're being used, is a bit difficult. So I'm a bit conflicted, highs and lows on this. Really love the sculpts, really love the creepy, gross Cobra-La designs on them, the kind of body horror-y kind of aspects of it all, you know, really nice. But yeah, I found it hard to pose her up with them. And I'll confess, I have only had her for a day, so my man-child playtime with her, perhaps not quite to the extent that it would normally be. So maybe there's some undiscovered mileage in these that I haven't found yet. But for the minute, I've found them a bit difficult to integrate and use. Speaking of hands, Pythona does have a pretty cool selection of hand swaps as well. We've got 2 closed fists there, both of which continue the kind of the organic armory pieces across, so you can get a punching and, I don't know, yo-joing. Then we've got the kind of acid fingers there with the drippy pieces. That's nice, lovely little sculpt there with a very vivid sort of lime green drippy bit. And then we've got the claw with the claw-shaped hand with the... Oh, get her in focus. There you go. Claw-shaped hand with the extended nails there with the kind of steam coming off. I think from the bit of the movie where she uses her acid nails to cut through an armoured door. Then Pythona has a couple of weapon pieces here. These kind of like bladed... I don't know what you call these, like kind of hand scythe type things, which are really interesting. I like these a lot. So you've got that kind of snake through the center there with lovely little scaly pieces and little fangs and stuff. The detail of the sculpt's probably not being done justice by my camera, to be honest. But it's, yeah, lovely. And then this kind of stony, gemmy kind of blade thing here with a really interesting sort of texture on it, and that little transparent element, which I think is really, really cool and a very, very interesting look. And then the fact that that's kind of a transparent pinky color obviously integrates very well with our outfit. So Pythona, if nothing else, knows how to accessorize. So I like the accessory selection, I think. I'm actually bringing the thumbs up down a little bit on this. I feel like it might be a little bit light. Probably not. It's probably actually comparable to the likes of Chuckles and things. But perhaps I'm feeling it's a bit light because as I've been playing with it, I've not been able to use this stuff quite as much the way I want. Now, it's early doors. Like I say, I've had it for a day. I've not really dived in and super duper manchild played with this figure a great deal. So there could be more mileage in that and I've just not discovered it yet. So that's a bit of small print and caveat. But that's possibly why I'm feeling that way. However, you know, I'm loving all the kind of Cobra-La referencey stuff in here. It's brilliant. Head swap, hand swaps, you know, it's got all the stuff I usually like. I suppose my view is a little bit tainted. I call this section accessories and added value because it's a deluxe price figure, you know? So make of that what you will. However, I've done a lot with like doing this sort of stuff and really loved it. So I've been able to use it, you know what I mean? Okay, well, there's the accessories and added value. Let's now take a look at Pythona next to a couple of other figures. And to get us started, what is the obvious display pairing of Nemesis Immortal, or Nemesis Enforcer, and Pythona there. What a mean-looking pair. Yeah, really great to have the two of them together like that. Although, with his wingspan and his bulk, he's not fitting on my little action figure stage very well. Here's Pythona with what I would think is another obvious kind of display pairing there with the convention exclusive Serpentor. Here's Pythona next to a rather awkwardly posed Jinx because, frankly, Jinx could learn a thing or two from Pythona about being an independent fucking stander. And here's Pythona with a Crimson Guard. Okay then, folks, well, here is Pythona going round on the turntable so you can get a 360 look at the figure. And while you're having a look at that, I'll offer up some final thoughts. Look, I don't think it would surprise anyone to know who hangs around this channel a lot. I really freaking love this figure. I love the wacky shit. I love the balmy stuff. Cobra-La leans right into the craziness of G.I. Joe that appeals to me, particularly more so in my older age. I'm a G.I. Joe the movie fan. I've talked about this before about the UK experience and how G.I. Joe the movie was my first animated experience of G.I. Joe. And they've just leaned right into the look, the feel, and the tone of the movie and everything I wanted from the figure. So I'm super, super happy. And your mileage will obviously vary with that. I know that there's people out there where the Cobra-La craziness is just a bridge too far in a world where, you know, ghosts are about your limit. Or fatal fluffies are about your limit. Cobra-La's too far. And it's not without its flaws. You know, it's not without its flaws. This set is a little bit painful when you've got all these great accessories and I can't quite figure them out. I'll reiterate, maybe there's still some playtime in there that I haven't quite cracked that nut, and I'm open to suggestions in the comments down below. I have moved this review forward a bit faster than I might do usually because I know I'm very patently aware that it has arrived in my hands, you know, in such a timely manner. I mean, New York Comic Con has literally started today, and I've had this since yesterday. So I am playing the YouTuber game a little bit, you know. But overall, if you're up for the price, if you're up for the chase, because I know it's a bit tough to get hold of sometimes in North America, and you are crazy for the movie like me, then I can highly recommend it. But, you know, if you're not, then there's probably a lot here to put you off. You know, and that's kind of where I'll come to. It's a Mod Extra recommends. That's a very personal recommendation because she appeals to what I want from my G.I. Joe Classified, very much so. All right. So thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Certainly, if I've helped you make a purchase decision, then do me a favor and hit the like button to say thanks. But that's it. In the meantime, I hope you come back round for another video sometime soon. I'd love to have you. Have yourself a great day. Have yourself a great week. And I'll catch you next time. All right. Take it easy, folks.